I welcome you all to this meeting, whose purpose is firstly to familiarize ourselves with our colleagues with whom we shall be working closely for the next 4 years, God willing. Secondly, to reflect and assess the country's position in 2015 and today. And thirdly, to chart a course for the country for the foreseeable future. I congratulate all the newcomers who your country has chosen above others to join the first-term ministers whose performance has been outstanding. All of you are appointed to assist and advise the President in running the affairs of our country. At the end of the retreat, it is hoped that all of you will be in tune with the roles and the responsibilities of positions you will occupy in government. Many national issues require unified decisions. It is a great privilege for you to be called upon to serve in this great office of state, and you must grasp the chance with two hands and put in your best efforts, as Nigeria today needs top managers to handle our numerous challenges. There will be long hours, and you must be prepared to live laborious days if we are to serve our people optimally. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all aware of the looming demographic potential of our country. By average estimates, our population is close to 200 million people today. By 2050, the United Nations estimates put Nigeria third globally, behind only India and China, with our projected population of 411 million people. This is a frightening prospect, but only if we sit idly by and expect handouts from so-called developing partners. The solution to our problem lies with us. Honorable Ministers Designate, in our first term, we identified 3 salient areas for close attention and action, namely to secure the country, to improve the economy, and to fight corruption. None but the most partisan will dispute that we have made headway in all 3 areas. First, we have rolled back the frontiers of terrorism. We are actively addressing other challenges, such as kidnapping, farmer-herder violence, improving the safety of our roads, railways, air traffic, and fire control capabilities. Second, we are steadily turning the economy around through investment in agriculture, manufacturing, shoring up our foreign reserves, curbing inflation, improving the country's infrastructure. Third, on corruption, we have recovered hundreds of billions of stolen assets and are actively pursuing control measures to tackle leakages in public resources. We will not let up in fighting corruption. As ministers, I am counting on you, together with advisors and Nigerians willing and able to contribute to build upon our roadmap of policies, programs, and projects that will lift the bulk of our people out of poverty and set them on the road to prosperity. Our administration's 8 years will have laid the grounds for lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years. This outcome will fundamentally shift Nigeria's trajectory and place us among the world's great nations. Honorable Ministers Designate, you will be responsible for the development and implementation of policies, programs, and projects in your various ministries, departments, and agencies in line with government priorities. You must also ensure that agencies under your ministries are effective, efficient, and accountable in the discharge of their responsibilities. Honorable Ministers Designate, we must work as a team. Although you have been chosen to represent your state as a constitutional imperative, it is vital for all of you to work as Nigerians. Furthermore, working as a team demands that we know what the next person is doing. You must open communications with your colleagues. Lack of communications lead to lack of cooperation and suboptimal performance. Finally, although this is called a retreat, I would like to think this is a preparation for an advance to the next level. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you peaceful deliberations.
This retreat is designed to prepare and sensitize cabinet members on the status of policies, programs, and projects of government and the roadmap towards the delivery of its priority and next level agenda for 2019 to 2023. It will also provide opportunity to deepen the understanding of participants on best practices in conducting government business. Other specific objectives include: 1, discussion on the critical enablers to success, such as collaboration with other arms of government; 2, tracking and monitoring as the basis of performance management; and 3, ensure all members are fully aware of essential government procedures, such as procurement, Federal Executive Council processes, and the role of the permanent secretaries in the ministries, departments, and agencies. Let me, on behalf of the ministers designate and other appointees, use this opportunity to formally thank His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari for finding us worthy to serve the nation in different capacities at this critical period of our national existence. This call to service requires all of us to fully share in the President's vision and agenda for our country. As members of the President's team, it behoves on us to join him in providing the leadership required to develop Nigeria and lift the bulk of its people out of poverty. This presidential retreat is intended to further prepare us to be able to share in this vision and sense of purpose. Let me quickly reiterate that as ministers of the Federal Republic, you will be required to work to the high standards of integrity, discipline, and dedication that have been set by the President in his long career in the service of the country. I would also like to remind you that of all the functions you will be called upon to perform as minister, none is more important than to help the President deliver the policies, programs, and projects required to move the nation to the next level. As the President said, our legacy will lie in how much we are able to deliver on this front, not on how much patronage will extend to close associates and supporters. As you are aware, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, as amended, describes the Federal Executive Council as the principal organ for making policy decisions in the country. Indeed, Section 148, subsection 1 and 2A to C explicitly specifies the responsibilities of the Federal Executive Council. It also stipulates that the President shall hold regular meetings with the Vice President and all the ministers of the government of the Federation for the purposes of 1, determining the general direction of the domestic and foreign policies of the government of the Federation. 2, coordinating the activities of the President, the Vice President, and the ministers of the government of the Federation in the discharge of their executive responsibilities. And 3, advising the President generally in the discharge of his executive functions with respect to which he is required by the Constitution to seek the advice or act on the recommendation of any other person or body. It is therefore clear that the activities of ministers is a constitutional responsibility which requires focus on policy decisions, implementation, and coordination. You also have a leading role in your ministry in formulating and implementing and tracking policies, programs, projects, and communicating the impacts. It is equally important that you keep the focus on this core function of your offices, as this is where your role has the greatest significance for the President and the public. Distinguished participants, let me remind us that the task of governance requires patience, dedication, and total commitment to the social contract that we have entered with the Nigerian people, especially in realization of the yearnings for quick delivery of the dividends of democracy to the people. Most of the critical work you will do will not be seen by the public. Endless hours spent preparing and reviewing memoranda, obtaining and understanding the information and data on issues, analyzing the various dimensions and policy options, ensuring that budgets and expenditure are credible and accountable, extensively engaging with the poor and vulnerable segments of our political constituencies outside the glare of the press, among others. These are some of the activities that might not be seen or appreciated by the public, yet they tend to have the greatest consequences for what gets appreciated by the public. Hence, I would suggest that you take time to do this well, knowing that the results would eventually manifest and be appreciated by the citizens. As ministers, it is vital that the result of all our work connect to the aspirations of the people. This retreat is aimed at preparing us for the success that I know we are all committed to achieving. Although we acknowledge that we might not be able to cover everything that needs to be addressed, we have provided a complete reference document to serve as quick reference in the discharge of your ministerial duties. I urge you to go through and keep to hand as appropriate. I am looking forward with my team from the Cabinet Affairs Office of the Office of the Secretary to the Government to working together over these next 2 days with all of you. I encourage you to participate actively in all the sessions of the retreat, to ask questions, contribute your perspective, and also think critically about what you hear at this retreat and how it will shape the way we would work over the next 4 years. At this juncture, Your Excellency, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to shoulder the responsibility of preparing your team that would help you and assist you to deliver on your promises to the Nigerian people. And I thank all of you for coming. I thank particularly our resource persons, and I wish each and every one of us a very fruitful discussion in the course of this next 2 weeks. We have spent the past 2 days agreeing to and prioritizing the key strategic initiatives required to drive accelerated economic growth in our country, as well as the critical enablers required for seamless execution. We have also agreed on the appropriate KPIs are measures of success for each initiative. Some of the agreements from our deliberations include: 1, consolidate and accelerate on agricultural agenda to achieve full food sufficiency. 2, increase revenue, implement measures to reduce leakages, and drive cost optimization. Ensure effective coordination between monetary and fiscal policy. And 5thly, invest in human capital development with strong focus on early education and health insurance. Facilitate investment in oil and gas sector by ensuring speedy passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill and deep offshore oil and exploration and production bill. And lastly, resolve the liquidity challenge in power sector and facilitate private sector investment. Furthermore, it was emphasized that we need to work effectively with all other arms of government, such as the state governments, the National Assembly, for major high-impact initiatives such as the provision of large-scale land for agriculture and food security, passage of critical legislation, etc. The work we have done here has been critical to laying the foundation for what we will accomplish in this administration. But this work done alone is not why we are here. Now it is the time to turn our words into actions, to take everything that we have learned, all the strategies and approaches that we have discussed, and go and execute our priorities. This work begins now. The people of Nigeria are looking to this administration for results, and they expect them quickly. I would like to reiterate that the federal government is committed to delivering on and implementing all agreed initiatives within the stipulated timelines. To ensure effective implementation, the initiatives will be cascaded to the relevant ministries, whose ministers will champion the responsibility for driving implementation and execution. As earlier stated in my welcome address, as ministers and members of cabinet, you have leading roles in framing issues within your policy domain and developing, implementing, and tracking policies, and in communicating the impacts and the results. It is your responsibility to take ownership over the success of these initiatives. You will be ultimately responsible for ensuring the initiatives agreed on during this retreat meet their defined KPIs. To aid in the implementation of the agreed initiatives, the outcomes from this two-day session will be documented and shared with all the ministers. That will begin this evening. This will serve as a guide on the key initiatives and action steps required. A monitoring and evaluation framework will also be instituted to track the performance of each ministry against its cascaded strategic initiatives based on the outcome of this retreat. This is an integral measure to ensure we deliver on our agreed objectives. As we implement this work, there will be challenges, both those we anticipate and those that we do not. Anytime you are looking to make change on this scale, it is to be expected. Do not let these challenges discourage you. Let them serve as motivation to work even harder, to think more creatively, to come up with new solutions. And remember, that you have an entire team to help you, including myself, and remember to escalate issues as appropriate to ensure we can resolve roadblocks in a timely and systematic manner. After spending 2 days with this team, Your Excellency, I am confident that together we can overcome any obstacle, and that as an administration, we will accomplish great things for this nation. Lastly, on a personal note, Your Excellency, let me say that serving the President of this country and the people of Nigeria as Secretary to the Government of the Federation has been and continues to be a truly humbling experience. And when the President reappointed me a few months ago, it caused me to think and reflect deeply on the opportunity I have been given to work each day to make our nation better for every one of our fellow citizens. I hope you will join me in this commitment. As public servants, we are not only expected to deliver results that improve the lives of our fellow citizens and transform the country, but also to reflect in our example what our nation stands for: hard work, honor, integrity, ingenuity, and the relentless belief that in Nigeria all things are possible, and that together we can accomplish extraordinary things. It is a spirit of excellence that we must exemplify, and by doing this, we can serve as a source of renewed hope for our people. I and my colleagues at the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation greatly look forward to being your partner over the next 4 years to all that we will accomplish together on behalf of the Nigerian people.
You will agree that our work is just beginning. These last 2 days have been very instructive for me personally, because I have had the opportunity to know many of you new ministers designate better. I was also pleased to see that you have all equally enjoyed debating and deliberating on the various challenges before us over the next 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, majority of our people are poor and are anxiously hoping for a better life, a Nigeria in which they do not have to worry about what they will eat, where they will live, or if they can afford to pay for their children's education or health care. Our responsibility as leaders of this great country is to meet these basic needs for our people. As I mentioned yesterday, this administration inherited many challenges from our predecessors. To mention a few, a country in which 18 local governments in the northeast were under the control of Boko Haram. B, decayed infrastructure in which our rail lines and roads had severely deteriorated. C, a rent-seeking economy that depended largely on oil revenues and imports. And D, significant unpaid pensions, subsidy debts, legacy contractor debts. I can go on and on. In our first term, we laid the foundation to rebuild our country. We recaptured those 18 local governments previously held by Boko Haram, whose activities are now limited to sporadic attacks against soft targets. Our investments in road and rail infrastructure are without precedent, and many of you can attest to this. We also focused on diversifying the economy from oil towards agriculture and industrialization. Despite reduced revenues from oil and gas compared to past governments, we have broadly addressed many of the legacy debts they left behind. Whilst we have obvious successes to celebrate, the challenges ahead are significant, as you would have observed in detail over these 2 days. Nevertheless, from the quality of the deliberations, it is clear that solutions to our problems are well researched and have been well articulated. We have discussed solutions relating to addressing insecurity, microeconomic stability, agriculture and food security, energy security for petroleum products and electricity, transportation and critical infrastructure, industrialization and SME development, human capital development, social inclusion, anti-corruption, housing financing, and consumer credit. Public service is not easy work, and at times it can be thankless. I am therefore charging you all to seize this opportunity to serve as an honor, to give your best to deliver on this mandate for a more prosperous Nigeria, not for some, but for all Nigerians. You will find that working purposefully will enable us to achieve quicker results, recognizing that 4 years is not a very long time. For the new ministers, make sure you engage and benefit from the experience of the older ministers and former governors in the cabinet. In terms of coordination, kindly ensure that all submissions for my attention or meeting requests be channeled through the Chief of Staff, while all Federal Executive Council matters be coordinated through the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. I would like to thank the Office of the SGF for coordinating this successful presidential retreat. I would also like to thank the National Assembly leadership, the party chairman of the Governors Forum, and resource firms for the active engagements and contributions. Once again, the challenges that lie ahead of us as a country are significant, but I have no doubt in your individual capacities and our collective patriotic commitment to deliver a better Nigeria for us, our children, and brighter future for all. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.